Hello again! So I decided that now, since you know more about me, you know 50 facts about me, it would be a good idea for me to tell you why I want to do these YouTube videos and why I decided to film myself at all in the first place. It's quite a long story. It's been actually 1 year in the making now, and I'm really excited to share this part of my life with all of you guys. So in the 50 Facts video, I told you guys that I am moving to England in August. It was not something that I'd always thought I was going to do when I turned 20 years old. In fact, I had quite a different future planned out for myself, but it just kind of happened that way. A bunch of things played into that, and like I said, it's been like a whole year so far. And a lot of things have happened, and so now I'm moving to England in August, and so this video I'm just going to kind of share with you what's happened every single month since last April, and so you'll be able to see what brought me to this point today. So April of 2012, a whole year ago, I made one of the most difficult decisions of my life. I had been dating a guy for 4 years. I thought I was going to marry him. I thought, like, that was it. I was convinced that that was my future, and I was happy with it until probably like January 2012. And then I decided that I wasn't quite sure that's what I wanted, and by the time April came around, I was just really unhappy, so I made the really hard decision to end the relationship with him. It happened close to the end of April, so most of the month of April I was just really confused. I didn't know what I wanted to do, so I just spent most of the month just thinking about that. And then when I decided that that's what I wanted to do, I ended the relationship, and then all of the future plans that we had had together were obviously not going to happen anymore, so I was kind of left with like a wide open future, and I had to figure out what I wanted to do with it. May of 2012. I don't remember a lot from this month. I'm not quite sure why I don't remember a lot. I'm wondering if maybe like I was hurting from the breakup, so my pain kind of like blocked out my memory. I'm not quite sure what happened, but I honestly don't remember that much. All I remember is that all of a sudden I just got really unhappy, and I decided that I just didn't want to be in school anymore. I had been in university for 2 years up to this point. And so I finished off the 2 years, and once exams were done, I just dropped out, decided I didn't want that anymore, and I didn't know what I was going to do, but I'd always had this dream as a child to move to England, and when you're 5, nobody obviously believes you, but during this month, it kind of kept coming back into my mind, and I would just push it out and be like, no, like, that's not going to happen, I'm not going to do that. So I just kind of kept pushing it away, but it was still there. So that's just kind of what happened that month. So when June hit, I had been talking to my oldest sister quite a bit about it, and she had told me that I should do some research if this is something that I was seriously thinking about doing, but I shouldn't tell anybody because I didn't want to like freak anybody out before I had the answers to their questions. So that's what I did. I did some research. I was going to counseling at this time because I have anxiety, and my counselor said the same thing, just to like look into it, see if it was even possible to do, because it's so far away, and it probably was not going to be as cheap as the schooling I was doing here. So I did some research, I looked at some schools, and I began to think, like, what do I want to study? Because when I was here, I was just taking a normal arts degree, and I was thinking of becoming a teacher, but I didn't have to think about that until after I was done the degree. But now that I was thinking about going overseas, I decided that I should probably take something a bit more specific. So I came up with 2 options. I said that one, I wanted to do teaching, like I had wanted to do here, or 2, I was going to do publishing. I've always loved books, and so that was kind of something exciting for me to think about. So those are my 2 options, and I had to find schools that went along with them. So I looked up schools in England, because England was the country I definitely wanted to go to. I looked up schools in England. I checked to see if they were on this master list that Canada has so that I could get loans. And then I picked 6 schools out of that, and I decided that those are the schools I was going to apply to, and then I had to tell my family. So towards the end of June, but more into July, I started to tell my family that I was moving to England, or that I wanted to move to England. I wasn't sure yet, obviously. My mom and my sisters were so supportive. My mom was terrified, but very supportive of me, and my dad just like didn't know what to think about the whole thing. I mean, in a matter of 2 months, I had just completely switched paths, decided I wanted something totally different for my life, and he was a little skeptical. Thankfully, he has come around now, but it was really hard in the beginning because he didn't know what to think. So most of July and August were just spent waiting. There was a lot of waiting because I couldn't apply until September, and so for those months, I just kind of sat at home. I was still really anxious over the breakup and still kind of sad, so I didn't really go out much, and it was kind of a depressing summer, but I knew that September was coming, so I was just holding on and waiting. September was a huge month for me. I applied to the 6 schools, but what had happened is when it came time to apply, I realized that I didn't really want to teach. I just wanted to do publishing. So I applied to all the schools that I could for just publishing, and it still ended up being 6 schools. So I sent those applications in the beginning of September, and then in the end of September, I really started to try and look for a second job. Up to this point, I was working at a restaurant, but it wasn't giving me a ton of hours, so I knew I needed another job if I was going to be able to afford to go overseas, because it was not looking very inexpensive at all. So I tried really hard to look for a second job. It's not easy over here. The employment over here is not very good, and so it took a lot of work. But September definitely flew right by because I had so much to think about and everything was really starting to happen, and it was just getting really exciting for me. In October, I got a second job, which was awesome. I work at a coffee shop now, and I love it there. They're giving me tons of hours, and so I'm getting all the money that I need, and so that was like amazing. I was so happy when I finally got that second job. And in October, I also got my first offer letter from one of the universities in England. It was not my first choice, and it was only my first offer letter, so I figured I would probably be getting more. But I was still thrilled. Like this was like confirmation that I was going to England, I could do this, that it was possible. So I was so happy. I think I even cried when I received the letter, just because I was so happy and so relieved that I had taken this risk and it was paying off. So it was really exciting for me. November was probably one of the biggest months of my year. It had been over 6 months since the breakup, so I was really starting to heal. I was feeling so much more like myself. It was getting close to Christmas, which I love. And then in November, I got more offers, which was amazing. I got 2 more offers, I think, in November, and by the time I got the 3rd offer, I got it from my first choice school. So I was like, I don't want any more offers, I don't care, I want this school. So on November 25th, 2012, I accepted the offer from Oxford Brookes University in Oxford, England, and I was going to Oxford, which was so thrilling to me. I was so excited, I couldn't have been happier. And so I right away started to do research, trying to figure out what I was going to need for tuition, where I was going to live, and I was so happy. It turned out that like the money was way more expensive over there than it ever would be here, so I knew that was going to be a huge hurdle that I had to get over. But in November, I just didn't care. I was going to Oxford Brookes, and that's all I needed to know. December is always my favorite month of the year. It's my birthday month, and it's also Christmas, and it's just everything good happens in December, so I always look forward to it every year. This year, on my birthday, well, the day before my birthday, I got a tattoo. I had thought long and hard about what I wanted for my tattoo, and I ended up getting an anchor, just a black anchor on the back of my neck, with Hebrews 6:19 written underneath, which is a Bible verse, which is very significant to me. And it was just kind of like a symbol that no matter where I went, my home would always be here, that I'd always be anchored here, but that I had hope, which is what it talks about in the Bible verse, and I had to have hope the entire year, and so it was just kind of a nice like ending to my year, and it made me feel like I really had like done it, and I was okay, and I was going to be okay, and that was a really big symbol for me. It hurt a lot, but I really love it, and I'm really glad I got it. And then I had my birthday, and I turned 20, so that was really fun. And then Christmas came, and we just kind of celebrated like my success, the fact that I had been accepted to a school, that I was going to England, and we didn't really think about the money at that point because we didn't really care at that point. It was Christmas, we were happy, we just wanted to celebrate that I had been accepted. It was January, and it was finally the year that I was going to England. I had waited for this for so long, and I was so excited that I was going. It was still 8 months away, obviously, but I was just so excited. New Year's Day was so happy for me. I was just so, like, I would tell everybody that I saw. I was like, this is the year I'm going to England! And it was so fun. But then I knew that I had a lot to get done before I could go to England as well. I had tons of money to get sorted out. I had a student visa to get. I had things to pack. There was so much to be done. So I started to make lists, lots and lots and lots of lists. I started to email people. I wanted to make sure that I stayed on top of everything. In February, at the very beginning of February, I started to waver on my decision a little bit. I was unsure of whether I was going to be able to get all the money in time. I started just to kind of panic a little bit. My anxiety was really bad at that moment, and I thought maybe it would be better if I finished my degree here and then went over there, which meant I'd have to stay here for 2 more years, and I just didn't know if I could handle that. I mean, there was pros and cons to each side, and I didn't know which one I would prefer. So my mom and I spent a lot of time just making lists and talking about it, and I didn't know what I was going to do, so we kept going forward with the England plans just in case that is what I decided to do. And by the time like 2 weeks into February hit, I knew that this was just what I wanted. I wanted to go to England. It was going to be difficult. That was obvious from the start, but it's what I wanted. And so I decided just to keep going, and as long as the doors were being opened, I would go. If somehow I couldn't go, then I would stop, obviously, because there would be no way. But at that point, everything was okay, so I just kept going. And then I think it was just before Valentine's Day, I decided to quit my first job. They were giving me like little to no hours, and I was really stressed about the job. It was a very hectic job, and my second job was giving me a ton of hours, so I thought that it evened out, and I thought I could do it, and I was much happier once I did quit that job. So the rest of February was pretty good. It wasn't, not much happened because I couldn't really apply for much yet. I was just doing a lot of waiting. But yeah, it was a good month, and I was finally sure that that's what I wanted to do. And so everything looked great from that point. In March, I did quite a few things actually. I didn't think that I would start doing a lot of that stuff until like April or May, but it turned out that in March I could fill out the first part of my student visa and send in the online application form. So I did that, and I looked at dorm rooms just to see like if I wanted to do the dorm room thing or if I wanted to get an apartment, or I guess it's called a flat over there, just to see which one was cheaper, which one would be better for me. It turns out that the dorm is definitely a better option for me, being alone and being a first-time like person over there, an international student. It's definitely the way to go. So I kind of picked out my top choices for dorms and put them aside so that when I applied I knew which ones I wanted. And then that's pretty much all I did in March, but it just seemed like so much. And then towards the very end of March, my dad and I went into the bank and we got a lot of the money stuff sorted out. And it ended up being that my funding was a lot more than I thought it would be. So that was awesome, because then I knew that I would definitely have enough money and that I would definitely be able to go when it came to finances. And that was like the one thing the entire time that I had been worried about. And I didn't really have to worry about it anymore. So that was really, really, really a huge relief to me. April, it has been 1 year. So now it is April of 2013, and it has officially been a whole year since this crazy thing started. I cannot believe it has been this long, and I am just so excited that this year is done. So much has gone on, and I'm so happy for everything that has gone on and everything that I've accomplished, but it has been crazy. It has been a roller coaster of emotions, of just everything. My thoughts have been wild the entire year. And I'm just so happy that it's done and that I'm only 4 months away from leaving for England. I know that my journey is like nowhere near over yet, but I'm a whole year in, and so I feel like I'm a lot more experienced at this thing, and I know what I'm doing now. Well, I think I know what I'm doing, and so I'm really excited for what the next year is going to bring. As far as April's gone, it's only the 17th of April right now, so I haven't done a whole lot. I have possibly gotten myself a job in England, which would be amazing if it all works out. I am still waiting to do my visa and my student loans. Those happen around May and June. And just, I think it was yesterday or the day before, I received my welcome package from Oxford Brookes, which was a little strange to see my name on their website and to have like my own page because I'm officially a student. But I applied for dorms, and so that was really exciting for me, and I just kind of took a look at all the stuff that I'm going to need to bring, and I got my official dates for like Frosh Week, I guess is what we call it here. And so that's really exciting, and so I think in the next month or two my parents and I are going to book our plane tickets because they're coming over with me for a little bit. And so I think everything's just going to happen really fast from here on out. I found out today that it's only about 18 weeks until I leave, which is crazy to think that it was like a whole year, like a year ago. But it's insane, and I'm so excited, and I can't wait for everything to start happening, and I think it's going to be a really, really great year. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that you understand a little bit more now about why I want to go to England and kind of how I got to the spot that I'm in right now. I know that like the struggles and obstacles are nowhere near over yet, and I'll still have so many more to get over, but I know that I can do it. I get very anxious at times, but that's just my anxiety, and I'm working through that. And I really want to share my journey with all of you. I want to be able to look back and see how far I've come, but I hope that you guys also take something from my story and apply it to your own lives, because I know that that's what I've done with other people's stories. And so I hope that you guys watch my other videos, and I'm really, really excited to share this next chapter of my life with all of you.